Welcome back to our fourth installment for the Impact 20.
What if we put them out in the wrong order?
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. It's not, don't worry. So today we're going to be going over increasing your price.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, like we would love to have this be the first thing, honestly, that we talk about, right? And you say this, if somebody were to ask you a question on the street, hey, how can I be more profitable?
What do you tell increase them? Prices.
Yep. Right? No, not much to talk about here.
Nope.
But there is a lot to talk about because there's a lot of feelings involved. And so that's one why we leave it to the fourth thing that we talk about. And one thing we kind of didn't go over that is before we get to you is that when you do your market dominating position, you really set yourself up to show all these benefits and value, and you set yourself apart from the competition. And so now mentally, the business owner is actually ready to increase your prices sometimes. We're a little more open. So let's get into it.
Do it, Adam. I'm ready to rock.
So it seems
one of my favorites.
It seems very easy. Like, what is increased pricing? But it's a little more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
So if you had to explain it with nuance, what is increasing prices?
All right. Let me start here. Come with me on this vision quest. You do not want to be competing for the lowest price. Okay, repeat that in your heads. It's not about competing for the lowest price. Now, if you've never analyzed where you're at, and even if you're not the lowest, but you're on the low end, you don't want to be there. Okay, there's a lot of reasons, but the short version is you don't have the resources. You don't, if you're a small business owner, think retailer, how do you compete with Walmart's pricing? You cannot. Stop doing that. Now, some of this spills over to market dominating position, all that. Okay, but the short part is stop competing for price. That is not what you want to do. What you want to do is find out what the other guys are failing at, fill that niche, okay, and get charged and charge appropriately. Okay?
Exactly.
Maybe another small extension of that would be engineering with profit as a goal. So a lot of people don't do that in their pricing model either. They look at what their competitors do and they go, cool, I'm going to sell it at that. And they've never done the math behind it to go, okay, here's my, variable costs, here's my overhead and expenses, here's my desired target profit, and boom, here's what that should look like. And it's quite easy to map it out in a math. And once you do that once, you can test to see whether your aim is way off or way on, So it becomes pretty easy to determine your actual performance if you set the goalposts up from the beginning.
Yeah, so it really isn't just increasing your price, right?
No.
But and you said this, and this is something you always say, it's about, one, small business owners, they're not getting huge profits, right?
Not usually.
Like the profit is really like to make pretty okay money if you could, right? But the goal is a salary that allows you to pay your mortgage. It's not to buy a yacht or your airplane, right? That's not the profit we're talking about in small business, right? Like, let's be real. And so the key here really is, like, if we were to rename this, it would be to set profit as a constant in your pricing strategy.
Yeah, I think that's probably 80% of it. And then the other, like I said, so if you look at the theme, the concept, the philosophy is you should have, I'm kind of building this in with the market dominating and compelling offer, some of the other stuff we said, but it's like understanding that, well, what makes you different? And does that have value? And it should have value. Okay, so stop competing, price yourself based off of what the service, or product you're giving. iPhone is not the cheapest, yet everybody has 3 of them.
Yeah, if you provide the best service in the world for whatever you do, should you be the cheapest?
No way.
No, right? So why is this part of what we call the top 20%, that Impact 20?
All right, so there's 2 things I want to hit on here. First is price is one of 2 items. There's only 2 that flow immediately through to net profit. Okay, so if you increase your price, change nothing else, okay, That each dollar you added flows right through to net profit. Okay. So if you're like, I don't have enough money to feed my family, okay, this is one of those things. From us and how we work and the processes we work, we need this to be at the beginning of any project because we want to prove and earn our ROI. We want to stand by what we're talking about and be able to prove an ROI. Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, the second thing I kind of wanted to add in here is I wish we saw less of these, but there's business owners that are like, I'm going out of business. And if your choice, imagine you're at a fork in the road, A and B. Fork A is I go out of business.
And this is a conversation we have.
Oh, like weekly.
Yeah.
Or stop doing my hobby because I can never get it off the ground. Okay. Or fork B, I'm going to increase, my pricing by 20% or maybe even higher. Okay. There's a component here of efficiency of work, which we won't touch on, but like there's an efficiency capacity as well. Oh, so you increase your prices by 20%, and now all of a sudden you're above your break-even line. Wow, look at that. So, think about that from a client standpoint. This is a no-brainer. Stop. If your choice is go out of business, hit the iceberg, or do something else, and there's only two things that immediately flow through to the bottom line, this is one of them. So, yeah, what are we still talking about this? Let's get going.
Yeah.
Okay, let's engineer our profit targets and execute.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the key there, right? Like, say it again.
Yeah.
This is so important. Because we come up to business, we have $1 million business that the owner's making, and this is like across the board, kind of a general average. You're doing $1 million in rev, right? And that's what we always say. Stop talking about rev. Rev feeds your ego. Net profit feeds your family. We're not here to feed your ego.
That's it.
We're here to feed your family. And so the average contractor doing $1 million in revenue is making $50,000 to $60,000 a year. They're not the highest paid employee in their business by far. And one, that's not right. They shoulder all of the burden. They're taking all the risk. Yep. And they're sleepless nights, straining their marriage, right? And all these tough things about being a business owner. And they're not making $250K a year. They're making less than they could if they just shuttered their business and worked for another business doing that. That's the truth.
Yep.
And so,
we need to fight against that.
It's not fair. Yeah. Like they should get paid more. And that's why this work is so important. That's why we're passionate about increase your damn price.
Yep.
Right. So what is, this leads right into it. So, I guess I'd say, what is the actual work behind it? How do we do it?
So,
just raise the price.
Yeah. So it's targeted profit engineering. I would start here, in our client work, this is our kind of a general flow. First off, we look at what the markets in your industry is at. There's certain, restaurants are notoriously lean. Contractors, are pretty lean as well. And then there's other places, but let's do a little data. And we find too many people have skipped this in their business planning, right? So let's look at where, what the industry is, and then let's pick a target. Okay. Now here's another, common mistake is they pick a target that's like low. It's like, no. Do you want to be mediocre? Absolutely not. So maybe we don't match the highest, but can we get to the 75%, 75th percentile? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's start there. That's our goal. Okay. That's our stretch goal, and getting above 50, because that means your business sucks. Okay. So how do we do that? So then we, like I said, we and I touched on this in the beginning, we look at our cost of goods and services, we look at our overhead, put in all of our costs, and then we target. If that's 12%, then we go, okay, we're going to add 12% into our price. For what? For everything. Okay. Now, if we're doing that, and if our pricing is accurate, that's very industry flex, but like a lot of industries, it's real easy to do that with accuracy. Okay. Now all of a sudden, everything we sell, we should be hitting that 12% target. So that's kind of what a successful implementation of Raise Profits is.
Yeah. And so many times, this is something that you always talk about, right? We have businesses that are not looking at their P&Ls. They don't know if they're profitable,
yep.
Which is why they're not paying themselves enough, because it's tight and they don't feel like they have enough money, right? And so the way that most people define profit, it's Your revenue minus your costs is your profit. It's what's left over.
Yep.
And so what you do is you show them how to make profit part of the equation, where then you're determining what the price
Not a
is.
leftover.
Exactly. We don't want profit. We want your salary to be what's left over. Hopefully there's something left over, right?
Yep. We set our goals, our targets based off our expectations, match our actions to meet them, and then that's what we should have left at the end of the year.
And so what is the best, what is the goal or the best desired outcome for when you're done doing this work of structure?
So I think it would be to revolutionize their process to make sure that they're best in business on at least the profit side. Now, hand in hand with that, we talked already about compelling offer and market dominating position. This isn't about ripping people off. It's about stepping up and bringing the value that you promised from the beginning anyway, and then charging and getting paid for it. Sometimes you see a small capacity free up, which actually, so now you hear people say work smarter, not harder. Okay, well, smarter often has a component of money. Okay, so it's what work smarter means get paid more for doing the same or less. So all that coalesces, but when you have more money, more profit, you can pay your employees better and give them better lives. You and your family are better, both protected and have a better life. And you can also reinvest in your business. So this creates a feedback loop that because you're now hitting a profit target that is reasonable and good, you can do all these things. And all of these things, like I said, create a feedback loop of progress.
What are the most common mistakes when people are doing this and looking at pricing? What's a common mistake?
So the first common mistake is not having any concept of pricing at all. And maybe I would just slang that as pricing off the competitors.
Always.
Second one is pricing from a discount mindset, pricing your way to the bottom. A lot of people don't think it through. They don't put the philosophy on it. Okay, which is, okay, so I come in at $1, you come in at 99 cents. Okay, well, now I come in at 98 cents. It's a race to the bottom. Okay, you cannot win this. You do not play it. Okay, but if you are playing that, well, so-and-so is cheaper, wham, like stop talking like that.
Yeah.
And then the third big one, but this is probably the one that is the biggest, like really tactical obstacle, is they're worried that their customers are going to leave. Okay. And there's a component of that is true. If you raise prices, some people will leave. Okay. But it's usually never what they think. It's fear in your mind, right? You think 50% are going to leave. You add that 20% price increase and 3% leave. Now, in addition, they don't think it through. You know what that 3% probably was? Probably, not guaranteed, but probably your worst customers.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, that person who's nickel and diming you and doesn't, so that, an easy way to translate that is they don't see your value.
Exactly.
So they're your worst customers.
Yeah. And so, what increasing price does is it allows you to target those people who would actually say, no, I'll pay more for that.
I love what you guys do.
And we say this with contractors, right? The first time that you find that you look for a contractor for anything, right, you go on price. The second and thereon after, you never look at price.
Yeah.
You look at how quickly can you get it done, and are you actually going to do a good job?
Yep.
Right? And so price is only an equation the first time, and you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
You never worry about it again.
Yeah, and you can see this like everywhere. Like, I don't know, we talked about the iPhone early, cars, home shopping. Like, dude, you're never going on like the cheapest.
No, of course not, because it's junk.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
walking through this.
And if there's one thing we could tell you is increase your prices something. And there's actually you can calculate out what how many clients you could lose and still break even, right?
Yeah, the math on this stuff is so easy.
Yeah, the math is easy. That's the fun part for us.
So give us a call. We'll walk you through it. We'll gladly sit down. But it is one of the first things that people should be addressing.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you. And thank you guys for watching.
Pleasure.
Get to work.
Be great.